What's up, gamers? Peace and Grease here, and I kind of felt like I needed to throw my 2 cents in with this whole Dragon Age Veilguard mess that's going on for the past few weeks. And I'm hearing both sides, and I agree with basically some on one side and some on the other side, and I disagree with some on the same side and some on the other side. So I guess I'm kind of fall in the middle in regards to what a lot of what I'm hearing. But I felt like I'm a lifelong BioWare fan. I've supported literally BioWare my entire damn life. There's a few studios, developers like that, Bungie, Bethesda until recently, BioWare, just to name a few. And I bought every product that BioWare has developed or developed in conjunction with another studio. I bought multiple copies of the same damn games for different platforms. I'm probably older than everybody that's left at BioWare at this point. All right. I probably played more BioWare games than all of them combined, if I had to guess. Um, and unfortunately, there's a lot of fake BioWare and Dragon Age fans climbing out of the woodwork, even some content creators. And, here's the deal. It's not that difficult. Just go buy one of the games and play it. Done. You're in. You don't have to lie to validate your opinion. We know who you are. We know when you're full of it. We know you're not Dragon Age or BioWare fans. Those are you specific people I'm talking to. So just go buy a game. They're cheap and they're fantastic. Go buy one and play it. Done. You're in. But if you can't do the bare minimum, then you don't belong in the conversation. It's just that simple. Until you're willing to put in the bare minimum. So moving on. Um, do I have a crystal ball? Can I predict what's going to happen with Dragon Age Veilguard? Nope. Don't have a clue. Is it going to flop? I can't say that. I don't know. Is it going to be a success? I can't say that. I don't know. I can tell you what I want. I want the game to be a success. Why? Because I want another Mass Effect game. Unfortunately, EA has a really nasty habit of shuttering studios that don't produce. My fear, my genuine fear, is that if it isn't a success, that EA may potentially shutter BioWare, and that would break my freaking heart. I don't want that to happen. So I want it to be a success, but I don't know if it's going to be. So we're going to kind of leave it at that. So let's start at the very beginning, the announcement trailer. When I first saw the announcement trailer, I genuinely thought it was just some random person at EA that just slapped some random stuff together because it was so badly done. In fact, I even told my friends, no, BioWare, that's not a trailer from BioWare. That's just some random dude or gal from EA that just slapped something together because it was so badly done. In fact, even at the last few seconds of the trailer, they have an awful looking Kunari, and it looks like, because of how badly the trailer's designed, it looks like the Kunari's name is Trash the Dragon Hunter. That's how bad of a job, that's how bad the decision making was on that trailer. Literally, you now have a character who forevermore will be known as Trash the Dragon Hunter. And you can't get away from that. You can't escape it now because of your bad decisions. So, yeah, since we're on the topic, the Kunari, I feel like Marlon Brando over here. Like, what have they done to my boy, right, from Godfather? The Kunari were peak in the Trespasser DLC in Inquisition. By far my favorite species in the Dragon Age franchise, the universe, I should say. Absolutely love the Kunari. They have been destroyed. Destroyed utterly. After many years and multiple titles of big games and different media, it has taken just this one game and bad decisions to utterly destroy the Kunari. They look like absolute clown shoes. Concord levels of character design. Piss poor character design. It's heartbreaking. And inadvertently, whether they knew it or not, they have now taken 8 starting characters for millions of people from 8 down to 6 because there are tons of people that will flat out refuse to use the Kunari. They're not our Kunari. They're not our Kunari. We know our Kunari. Our Kunari are back in the Trespasser DLC for Inquisition. We don't know what the hell these clown shoes are. All right, you got Trash, the Dragon Hunter, and these clown shoes looking creatures, these abominations. No, they're not our Kunari. They're not Kunari. We refuse to accept them. Just that simple. Moving on, let's talk about the 3 choices. Since we're talking about the 3 choices, let's talk about the BioWare Holy Trinity. If you don't know what it is, let me explain. The BioWare Holy Trinity, number 1 is the story has to be phenomenal. Amazing. There's no wiggle room here. There's no debate. There's no discussion. It has to be phenomenal. Period. The end. Second thing, the companions have to be interesting, deep, rich, diverse. There has to be a plethora of options depending on what people are looking to romance with which character when they do their playthrough. And it has to add really complex character development. Okay? And then lastly, your choices matter from the previous games. That's the BioWare Holy Trinity. Well, only 3 choices are going to matter from Inquisition. That's a problem, because most of my Inquisition playthroughs, I only ever, I never romanced any of the characters for my straight male Inquisitor. My only 2 options were Cassandra, the very butch, very masculine, unattractive woman, and the other option was Josephine, who was a very unattractive, naive girl obsessed with the politics of her country, who was not attractive in the least. So, literally, I rejected BioWare's options and chose to romance none of them. Period. The end. So that means I now only get 2 choices to import from Inquisition. That's a problem. And given all of the choices from Origins, from 2 to Inquisition, all of the choices that we've had, you only give us 2? What? You've just failed the litmus test for the BioWare Holy Trinity right there. Moving on, I saw an article. I don't know who it was by, and I don't know who they interviewed from BioWare, but the entire article is toilet paper. The entire article is just nothing but lies and ignorance from beginning to end. There's not a stitch of truth anywhere in it. In fact, the title was something like the Darkspawn look goofy for a reason lore. Interestingly enough, they've never actually showed where this mystical lore was that said Darkspawn goofy. Never happened. Because, by the way, spoiler alert, there is none. The Darkspawn have always been terrifying. Always. So the entire title of the interview is bullshit. Lies and ignorance. Toilet paper from beginning to end. But it gets worse. The person that works at BioWare that they interview said, and I'm quoting, that the Darkspawn don't have an intelligence behind them. Excuse me? Clearly this person, whoever they are, never played a BioWare game, never played a Dragon Age game, has no clue about the lore, and has no clue about the universe. That is terrifying. And they're working on the next Dragon Age game? Wow. And by the way, maybe you've heard of a little character called the Architect, maybe? I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Or maybe maybe that was their way of saying, no, that character doesn't exist. We're just going to remove him completely from the lore, which is shocking if that's the case. We'll say that. There's always been an intelligence behind the Darkspawn. We may not have been able to attach specific names to, but there's always been an intelligence behind them. But again, that's concerning. So the tone, that's something I want to address as well. The dark and gritty tone, personally, just FYI, I know people out there are, kind of erroneously saying, oh, well, gamers want the dark and gritty tone. No, wrong. BioWare chose that dark and gritty tone for Dragon Age. They've chosen that across many years, multiple installments of games and different media. They chose that, not us. Now, the excuse I'm hearing from some people is that, well, the tone has softened in recent years. And you know what? That's true. That is 100% true. It is. However, it has not been completely removed. So to act as if because the tone has softened from Origins to Inquisition, for example, that completely removes it is false. It doesn't. That dark and gritty tone is still present. Softer than previous installments, sure, but still present. But we even get to a bigger problem, and that is the choice to use cartoony characters. Now, this is where some are going to lie to you and say it's an artistic choice. No, it's a lazy, cheap choice. What I mean by that is, which takes more time and money? Motion capturing realistic characters or cartoony characters? Obviously, motion capturing realistic characters takes more time and money. That's the reality. And that's why they went with cartoony characters. And that's a problem, because cartoon characters don't work with the dark and gritty tone. That's why there's so few shows, movies, or games that combine the two, because they're at odds with one another. And you could thank Western culture for that. We're brainwashed at a very early age that cartoons are fun, happy, carefree. Nothing bad ever happens in a cartoon. People don't die in cartoons, and we're brainwashed with that. Now, obviously, there's a difference between that Western culture and like a Japanese culture, for example, with their anime as an example. But for Western culture, we're brainwashed into thinking that they're fun, carefree, and happy, and nobody ever dies. So when you use a cartoon character, and for a mainly Western audience, the issue you have is that it shatters that dark and gritty tone you're trying to establish. When it should be this oppressive feeling, this, this everything's going wrong and is shattered by that cartoony character. Doesn't work. If you doubt me for a second, great. Let's do a thought experiment. Close your eyes and picture any scene from the movie No Country for Old Men. Go ahead. Close your eyes and picture it. Now, remove the live actors and put in a cartoon character. You just said in your head it doesn't work. Exactly. It's at odds with the dark and gritty tone. They're in direct opposition. They can't work together. They just can't. That's why it's such a rare thing. Dishonored, one of my favorite games, and I absolutely despise the fact that they went with cartoony characters for that dark and gritty game. It doesn't work. I found myself walking past piles of bodies and going, huh? Because it was a cartoon, right? It's fun, it's happy, it's carefree. No one ever dies, right? See what I mean? They just don't work. Bad decision making. So we got to touch on the character creator. Unfortunately, we can't let this go with, wrap this up without talking about it. Yes, the hair looks great, gravity defying in some of the clips I've seen, but I'm not going to be that nitpicky about it. The hair looks great, but the character creator itself seems like a complete and total failure. The whole point of a character creator is to allow your players to design the character they want. In previous BioWare games, the character creator was diverse. It was huge. You could go from a beautiful character to a crazy-looking Goonie monster or anything in between. It had options 5 feet wide. Veilguard's character creator has reduced that 5 feet to about 2 inches, meaning that your starting character is going to look more or less exactly the same as when you're done on the character creator. And that means your character creator is abysmal. It failed at its only job. It's a bad character creator. There's no diversity there. You can't do anything with it, which defeats the entire purpose. And if you're going to be that lazy about it, then just give us a set protagonist and call it a day. I mean, at that rate, and I'll tell you this right now, yes, while the hair may look great for the first time ever in a BioWare game, I would trade the hair for a good character creator. I will even make a deal with you, BioWare. Give me back a good character creator, and I will never bitch about BioWare hair ever again. Just give me back my good character creator and keep your damn hair. Because if I have to trade my good character creator for this hair, you can keep it. Then we got to talk about the scars. All right, look, here's the deal. I preach this all the time. Representation is important, but what's more important is how it is implemented. The choice in the way that you implement it is going to determine whether or not there's going to be any backlash or not. Take, for example, Dragon Age Inquisition. That I can recall, there was no backlash, but yet there were gay and trans characters in Dragon Age Inquisition. That you can talk to the trans person and actually, find out about their life, what happened to them when they made the decision. Even the gay characters like Sarah or Dorian, for example. In fact, Dorian has an interesting side quest when it deals with kind of his tumultuous relationship with his father, which is really kind of interesting. Probably the only interesting thing about any of the companions in Inquisition. So the representation was handled masterfully in Inquisition. Again, I don't recall hardly any at all, if there was any, for as far as backlash goes for Inquisition. So now we look at Veilguard. So if you're good at your job, okay, there's a simple way to implement it, and you have zero backlash. Now, how do you do that? Simple. You create a NPC, a mage, call them a body mage or a shape mage or a morph mage, whatever you want to call them. And the purpose of them is twofold. The first is that it's going to allow players to tweak the settings on their character's appearance or completely change their character if they want to. So if they were using a dwarf, for example, and they decided they wanted to use, a human or, an elf, right? You could do that by, going to that NPC and interacting with them and choosing those options. So you can tweak your appearance, your character's appearance, or completely change your character entirely. But you could have had a really nice little cutscene in there where you had a male dwarf walk in the door, and then the mage, the mage does their spell or whatever, and boom, they're now a female elf. Done. You've just got representation, check, but you've also given players the ability to change their character on the fly. If you're good at your job, that's what you do. Well, what they did was they added surgery scars. Now, the thing is, if we don't use logic as like a framework for our decisions, then a lot of bad things can happen. And in a world where we have magic, where, oh, you want to be a wolf? Done. You want to be a dragon? Done. You want to be a man? Done. You want to be a woman? Done. You want to be an elf, dwarf, Quinari, whatever. We have magic to do all of that, the snap of our fingers. So scars don't make sense there. And if we're going to flush logic down the toilet and we're not going to use it as a framework for our choices, then everything's on the table. So I would like a motorcycle and a helicopter in my Dragon Age game, BioWare. If we're not going to use logic as a framework, then screw it. I want a motorcycle and I want a helicopter in my next Dragon Age game. Does it make sense? No, but I guess that doesn't matter. Again, the difference is the way that it was implemented. Again, Inquisition representation was handled masterfully. Zero backlash. Veilguard, very lazy, very hack manner. Backlash. Just that simple. So let's get to the pronoun part of this conversation. The thing is, I don't have a problem initially with pronouns. I have a trans family member, so I genuinely believe that pronouns initially started off as a good thing for people to be able to tell other people, hey, this is who I am. Unfortunately, there are some nefarious characters, and I don't know what this is called, the left or alt-left or whatever, that have hijacked pronouns and are using it as a weapon, like a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire to force people to bend a knee, to give in to their demands. And that's a shame that somebody would do that. And I think that these same nefarious characters are claiming to speak for the trans community, even though they don't talk to the trans community. Furthermore, I don't think they bother checking with the trans community before they say whatever the hell they want. And as a result, the trans community catches a lot of heat for it, which is bullshit, because the nefarious character should be catching the heat for it, not the trans community. But that's just kind of my 2 cents. Again, I think pronouns initially started off as a good thing, but has been hijacked and is now being wielded as a weapon. And that's really kind of the main problem with pronouns right now, unfortunately. But not by all, but by some. Again, just my 2 cents. But I digress. Again, the complaints I hear about graphics, I don't really have a problem with it. The graphics look fine for what they are. I mean, do they blow my socks off? No, but they're fine. The combat in Mass Effect Andromeda was the best in the series. The best combat in any of the entire Mass Effect franchise was actually Andromeda. And so I kind of expect, and maybe I'm assuming incorrectly, but I'm kind of expecting that the combat in Veilguard is going to be kind of equal to Andromeda's combat. It may even potentially be the best in the franchise. At least I hope that's the case. That's going to be my assumption until I know for sure. But that's kind of my 2 cents on it. The thing is this, am I going to buy the game at launch? No. Did I pre-order it? No. This will be the very first BioWare game that I have not pre-ordered or before pre-orders bought at launch. This will be the very, very first BioWare game. And it sucks because this is many years of literally buying at launch or pre-ordering. And this will be the very first one where I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to have to hold off until I hear some legitimate reviews. And that sucks. Again, I want it to be a success because I'm fearful for the future of BioWare if it isn't, right? That's kind of my 2 cents on all of this. I don't think Mass Effect Andromeda was a bad game. I just don't think Mass Effect Andromeda was a good game. Did it improve in little areas on the franchise? Yes. And so I'm kind of hoping that Veilguard is going to be better than Andromeda. We all kind of know about the huge mess of Mass Effect Andromeda, so hopefully that doesn't happen again, and BioWare has learned their lesson. But of course, well, time will tell. So there you have it. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below, and until next time, peace out.